Hey everyone, Fabio here, going live from Planes of War GT. We are a few minutes early, just figuring out a few things on my laptop, so I'm just going to let it run for a bit, and we'll get started shortly. Hey, can someone just post a comment? Excellent, thank you. Alright guys, so I got a lot to do tonight, so I'm going to get started. So what I'm going to be doing first is going through how to rust up my Necrons. So I'm going to be using a lot of Typhus Corrosion. Big thanks to Derek for getting me some Typhus Corrosion. GW was unfortunately closed today, so saved my bacon. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to be burning through this stuff, and then I'll be going to the actually backtrack. I've already used the Necron compound, so literally right over the primer. So it's hard to kind of see, but there's now a silver tint to the entire model, all the models I'm going to be doing tonight. And then then it's an application of stippling with Typhus Corrosion, and then we move on to Rise of Rust. Now there's a couple of extra steps, but I won't be doing those tonight. I'm just getting these tabletop quality right now, and then later on I'll go back and up them. And then from there, I'll be going through with my airbrush and doing my OS object source lighting. So what I've done for you tonight is I've gunked up my airbrush. Oh, can't really see that. So I'm going to show you guys how to clean out the airbrush first and get it ready for painting, and then I'll move on to actually doing some OSL work and a little later in the show. So, pretty simple stuff. Just gonna grab a model here that I'm gonna work on first. So I'll start with this barge. I'm gonna get some types of corrosion. So the way I do this is, actually first, pro tip, in order to save your paint from spilling, blue tack, a little more blue tack than that. Slam it to the bottom of the pot you're going to be using, especially if you don't want to use a palette, and stick it down on your mat. Too much gunk on this one, so we're going to stick it on the actual table. Pop it open. Now it's nice and solid. Nice working platform. So the way I use the typhus corrosion is I use pluck foam that I, from Battle Foam or whatever, and then I pick it apart so it's jagged, because obviously rust isn't perfect and flat. And then what I do is I dip my brush heavy into the typhus corrosion to make sure I get some of the bits, and then I just swirl it over top of the whole thing and make sure the whole top is covered, really working it into the brush, because what will happen is as you stipple, some spots will dry out and others won't, and then you get a nice uneven finish on the rust, or the first layer of the rust, I should say. So get a lot in there, using obviously a shitty brush. Don't like to waste the good brushes. And then literally all you do, let's drop this light a little lower. I don't know how's this lighting on this thing? I don't know. Can we zoom in here? No, we cannot zoom in on that positioning. Okay, so so basically all you're gonna do is light, keep, nothing crazy. There's no perfect way to do this. It is rust after all, so just kind of let it hit the high spots, the edges, and yeah, really simple stuff. Very effective at the end, in my opinion. I actually got told that rust can't just be orange, but yeah, that's incorrect. But whatever, that's a whole nother topic. I was trying to be someone was trying to teach me how to rust gooder. Yes, I know gooder's not a word. So yeah, so I don't know if you can kind of, oh man, this is not, let's see if we can do this. So you can kind of see, you're just getting a darkened layer over. I mean, you can go over it more times, you can darken it up. I'm gonna have to work on this lighting, gentlemen, I'm sorry. I'm new to this. But yeah, you can kind of see what's happening. I'll post some pictures after of the finish so you can kind of see what the final outcome is. But yeah, so it's there's nothing crazy. The nice thing is that there's gunk on the sponge, so it's not only an appearance that it gives of rust. If anybody actually handles the model at all, you can actually see layers of gradient, which in my opinion is far better than just a flat paint. I like the fact that it looks actually gunky. You can put on as much or as little as you want. Obviously, you always want to do this before any object source lighting, because obviously the light will cover any rusty spots. So yeah, just go to town, just slam it down. Very simple, very quick, quite effective in my opinion. It's always good to wear a glove too. So this barge was a used barge, so it's already been assembled. So I have to kind of work within the parameters that I'm given, which is okay. It works. But yeah, as you can see, like I'm pretty much getting the surface of this model covered, and I haven't had to reapply any typhus corrosion to this sponge. It just, it holds well, and you're dabbing, right? You're not dabbing, but you're, just nice easy dabs onto the model, and it, I can't believe I just did that. Yeah, just so on some spots you want to thicken it up a bit, and then the nice thing is also with the gradients is the next layer with the typhus corrosion will actually from the sponge grab onto those gradients and actually builds more rust in. And then obviously later there's a couple other colors I add in, the same rule applies. So it's just, it's nice because it can be a little messy because obviously it's rust. It doesn't have a rhyme or reason. Unless it's on a Chevy, what's it called? Chevy Cavalier. Then it's just because those are old, and yeah. So now it's starting to kind of dry out on me a little bit. So I'm going to apply it more soon. But before I do that, just kind of I'll go get just gonna go get the one that I've done so you can kind of get an idea of where I'm going. So this is a completed barge, or completed to the orange stage. So you can kind of see like with all the buildups of the rust, and then the object source lighting over top of that. Gives it a pretty good feel. Nice tabletop quality, nothing crazy. But I am definitely more of a gamer than a hobbyer, so this to me is a definitely acceptable standard. We got a few early birds in the chat. How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Can you guys hear me all right? Nope, nobody chatting. Okay, that's cool. I'm going to continue dabbing away here. Add a little more to this one, and then I'm going to move on to the next model. Also, another thing with rust, try not to be too uniform. Don't let it, don't do the entire model, like every spot the same. Kind of leave some spots clean, leave, bigger chunks, or vice versa, put some big chunks of rust in some spots and leave some bare. It's a, like I said, rust isn't uniform, so you don't want to make it look as such. So yeah, so there's the first phase for that one. Nice and simple. I'm actually pretty pumped to get some airbrushing done today. I haven't done any airbrushing in at least 6 months. So if one of you guys in the chat could just post a comment if you can hear me all right, if the volume needs to be turned up, please let me know. Like I said, this is also, I'm new to this, but I'm really digging this live feeding thing. This is, kind of incentive to get some hobbying done, so I'm definitely digging that. Plus I get to hang out with you guys, chat about things that are happening. I want to talk about this Fall of Cadia book that is apparently pretty crazy with some new rules. I definitely not too familiar with what's going on, but definitely like to spark some conversation on that. Definitely want to know what's going on. I used to be really big into the rumors and stuff, but and what's new, but now I don't know, just kind of go with the flow. It's a lot less stressful. There's always a lot of complaining I find on the internet now, and half of it's just over people that are just overcomplicating things and overreading things, and sometimes it's just easier to let things ride and figure it out as we go, but whatever, that's a whole other conversation. So yeah, if anybody wants to talk about what's kind of going on with this Fall Acadia stuff, I'd definitely love to hear some opinions on that as I stipple and rust the crap out of this thing. Ghost Arks, very underestimated. What's up, Yuri? How's it going? Pro tip: don't mute me. No. Yeah, so guys, I know I'm really not the best at going through this, but I just, you know, hoping to spark some creativity and get people, you know, hobbying and getting some inspiration to get some models painted for the tabletop. I know Reset we don't require paint or anything like that because we encourage playing there, but at the same time, you know, it's always nice. It's, you know, it's the kind of the unwritten contract with your fellow opponents, you know, to keep showing progress on your models. I know there's a few people that definitely like gaming more than hobbying, myself included. I think I'd put myself in that category, although I've come to respect painting and, you know, the hobby aspect a lot more as of late. Oh yes, Celestine. Yeah, and guys, in the you know, War Council page, like I say always, if you have friends that aren't there, it's not a private group. Like, everybody's welcome, so definitely get them, invite them, and I'll accept them into the group. It's just a place to, you know, chat with other gamers, local gamers and stuff. So, you know, post up your pictures of hobby progress and stuff like that. If you're looking for comments, if you're looking for criticism on your work, you know, I'll keep it friendly, but it's never a bad thing. Especially when painting is a big guideline, or a big part of, you know, at least our local scene in terms of the hobby score. So, you know, if you can get some insider tips and, you know, learn some tricks and stuff, it's never a bad thing. Brendan, what's not working? Oh man, I don't know if you guys hear my dog. He's going mental right now. Okay, so we're running low, so grab the brush again. Big dip. Again, thanks Derek for hooking me up with some typhus corrosion while GW is closed. Marin, I know you gave me a shout out as well, same with you Paulie, but I had to get some stuff to Derek, so it actually worked out quite well. And a true chaos guy had 2 bottles ready to go, so that was clutch. Definitely have to get him back for those, but oh, you know what it was there. Always think you miss spots, but then in a different light, it all looks good. So, oh my god, my dog is going nuts. Hopefully wifey can deal with it. So. Rotate the guns down. Boom. Second barge is ready for phase 2. It just worked. Gotta love it. Okay, so I see Yuri came a little late to the cut, so I'll go through it again. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking typhus corrosion, and I'm applying heavy coats to a piece of pluck foam that I have picked apart. So you can kind of see, I don't know if you can kind of see, there's little bits here, so it's uneven. And I soak the top end of the sponge with the typhus corrosion, and it is a very simple, uneven way of getting your stippling effects onto the barge. So this step is after a primer coat of the Mechanicus Standard Gray and a heavy dry brush of Necron Compound. Very simple. I love this technique. It's super easy. Can be, you know, it's really quick. You know, and it's rust, so the end result is rust and grime. So at the end of the day, it just, like, you know, the more colors you add, the more dry colors you add, just kind of makes it look older. You know, it's been sitting in the rust a little longer. It's rusting, but yeah. And the other nice thing is, using the glove, some of the paint will naturally go onto the glove, and as you move your hand around the model itself, you actually spread it even more into awkward spaces, so it's again more uneven, and it actually I think it builds more to the model. Like it makes it look more more natural versus you know, using a brush and selecting your spots. The other nice thing you can do is with the flat side of the sponge or the foam, if there's big heavy spots, you can actually dab it while it's still wet, and it'll actually peel some away. So again, just adds to the effectiveness of it. Yeah, like it can't. The technical paints, the dry paints and stuff that come from GW are top notch. Like these things really make model painting a lot easier, and it really bring the models a little more, give them a little more character. So the more you work with them, the more you practice different techniques, you find things you like, and you know, that's probably one of the reasons I'm really gung-ho on these Necrons, is I really like this painting technique. It's fun, it's not super demanding, but it works for me, and honestly that's really all that matters. So once you find something that works for you, I definitely recommend sticking with it, because it makes your life a lot easier. Because at the end of the day, being burnt out and stressed out about your over your modeling is definitely not what you want. So yeah, those guys, we're gonna do the drivers of these. And yeah, even the drivers, like the nice thing is it's all rusty. Like these, my Necrons are junky. They are piles of rust, they are rust buckets, so just keep on going. For everyone that's tuning in, just a reminder that we have Reset Open Gaming tomorrow night, starting at 5:30 and going till 10:30. So if you have a game lined up, you know, great, come on down, grab a table. If you don't, also just come down, and I'm sure that there's always guys looking for games, so don't ever hesitate or feel you shouldn't come down because you don't have a game. You know, I can't guarantee that there'll always be tables, but at the same time, we try and make it so there's at least 2 waves of players. So we ask that everyone come down ready with 1,000-point lists, 1,500-point lists, now 1,650 lists, and as well as 1850 lists. So you know, you can play any point level. I would definitely recommend coming with multiple lists. That way, you know, if other people are ready to play at different levels, you know, you can accommodate, and yeah, just makes it easier, makes it quicker to get your games rolling, because we always know the upkeep in games is the upkeep and the start time on games takes forever. So any way to speed that up, it's always a good thing. So also what I do with these Necrons is I don't actually, like, sometimes I leave pieces out. So as you can see here, this guy's missing a leg. The rusty crons, they're not perfect. So in the object source lighting, I try and make it look like they are, you know, short-circuiting at those points. So I'll show you how to do that later. Probably not this one. I'll probably do that in one of my other feeds. This one I'm trying to stick to just a few things. So nice and rusty. We'll go to Stalker number 1. Actually, before we do that, get some paint on this bad boy. Yeah, you know, if you're free to come down early, always appreciated. You know, just gets everything set up quicker, so when people show up, tables are ready. But yeah, you know, everyone that does come down, I gotta say, big shout out. Thank you for helping out and getting stuff set up. You know, we don't enforce anything or ask really anybody to do it, but we definitely appreciate the assistance. I know it's just Scott, Kyle, and myself right now. Wes is a slacker, but you know, moves away and everything. So selfish, but yeah. So you know, all the help is always appreciated. but yeah, definitely don't feel obligated to like come down early, you know, to help set up. It's definitely not a requirement. Like going into this, we fully expected to be doing it, so it's not the end of the world. So yeah, just gonna keep banging out this stippling. So what I'm going to do is after I'm done with the typhus corrosion on these last couple models, I will then begin to start dipping all my pieces of my airbrush into a airbrush cleaner and let it sit while I do the last, while I use the Riser Rust all these models. So I'll kind of walk through that and show you how to degunk your airbrush if you have one. If you don't have one, you'll start to, I'm going to try and show you some of the cool ideas, like how to do object source lighting and how it's extremely easy, extremely efficient. I mean, I'm not even that great at it. There's some other guys in the community that do it way better than I do. But yeah, I've kind of found my way of getting it done, so I'm content with it. So hopefully it can, again, you know, spark some guys to take the plunge, try it out, maybe get an airbrush. Man, my dog is just gnawing none of it tonight. He is annoying. But the wife's got it under control, thank God. Well, sort of. But yeah, so just kind of keep on dabbing away here. Dabbing away. Just kidding. No, so 2016, am I right? What are you using for your cam? Well, my camera for this is actually my iPhone 7 Plus. Hooked up to a wall mount, and then I actually have my laptop to my right, that so I can see the chat better. Otherwise, you know, I'm using a nice big light with a magnifying glass, and yeah, my hobby space. It's pretty makeshift, but it gets the job done for me. Yeah. So so my iPhone 7 Plus is running the video feed. I've also downloaded an app on it now that actually allows it to muffle other sound, similar to a video voice recording mic from like a radio station. So I don't know how that's working today. I can't actually. I'll have to listen to this later and see if I can tell if it's any better. But it was like a $2.99 app, so I figured I'd give it a shot, see what happens. I definitely like doing this video recording stuff, so I would definitely like to continue and make it a little better, you know. Be cool to maybe have some people, you know, get together and do a stream, so you can have a little like kind of round table discussion. So there's, you know, stuff like that to look forward to in the future, hopefully. Maybe not my dog going mental though, because that's really annoying on my end. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I hope not, because I mean, but anyway. So Scotty was saying he's working on Celestine. What is everybody else in here working on? Anybody got anything interesting going on? Brendan's got Grey Knights. Oh, hi Rory, welcome. Greetings and salutations. Rory's one of the guys that does a lot of airbrushing. Him, Scotty, who else in here? I think only those two really do a lot of it. They've got some neat techniques, so if you're interested in looking for ways to spice up your models with an airbrush, definitely bug them. They don't have the 6-month hiatuses like I do, so they definitely they're much more committed. Bang the rest of this out so we can get to the next phase. Typically what I like doing is getting a whole whack load of models to the same point and assembly lining them. But for the purpose of these videos, I'm finding that doing the same thing for too long can get a little stale. Understandable. So I'm just gonna, I've picked a few models that I want to do tonight, as all my stuff for my game with Brendan tomorrow are good to go. So picked a few vehicles that need to get done. Oh, Brendan, I'm gonna be running a standard CAD against you tomorrow, so be prepared. I wasn't gonna tell you, but I figured, you know, that'd be something. I'll let you know, a little hint. Oh, Yuri's on the Thunder Tusk. Yeah, Yuri's been pretty gung ho on the Age of Sigmar stuff. So Age of Sigmar, you know, Yuri, Kyle, and there's a few other guys that are really getting into it. So I strongly recommend, if you are one of those people that have an army and don't really know what's going on, bring it down to Reset. Definitely, you know, try and get a game in, try and learn some rules. I know Yuri wants to get a tournament going, so we'll definitely help him with that. So I definitely encourage everyone that's got armies to start, you know, learning the rules and asking questions, because, you know, I tried, but you know, time and everything else is not on my side, so I had to bow out of Age of Sigmar. But you know, I keep seeing it and it's super cool, so I'm really glad there's some guys that are still interested in stepping up on that end, so good on you. So yeah, if you're interested in Age of Sigmar, definitely reach out to him in the chat, in the Winnipeg War Council chat. Okay, so anyway, so the nice thing about the foam, now that the top is pretty much ruined, like it's going to harden like this. All you do, so it's going to be hard with a glove, but I'm going to do it anyway. Make a mess. I guess I could have just used scissors, but so all you do is rip off the top that had the paint on it, chuck it in the garbage, and voila, fresh foam for the next phase. But anyway, before we go on to the next, oh, what do we got here? Personal knowledge. Rip. Yeah, exactly. Oh shit, not a CAD. Yes, with OBSEC, absolutely. Okay, so a few other things. So I've got a live stream, a short one going on tomorrow at Reset. Gonna be playing a game against Brendan, so hopefully I'll do a battle report on that. Gonna be releasing the Plains of War GT for 2017's date, as well as we're gonna drop a few hints on the next few RT events that Plains of War and Twin Eagles will be running. What else are we gonna be doing tomorrow? That's really it. We're also, I'm gonna put something out there in the Plains of War page, maybe a poll. We're kind of thinking about moving some of the second Tuesdays of the month, maybe doing Sundays at some points, because I know Tuesdays aren't good for everybody. And actually doing this last Sunday was way more relaxing, because, you know, you didn't have to come from work, you got your morning. So we're gonna throw something out there for everyone, and we definitely like some opinions and some feedback on that. So definitely think about that. But anyway, so first, this is too big. That's what she said. No, she didn't. Yeah, so for airbrushing, typically what I need, a dropper, some water. So I have my water over here, that will work. I need a second little tin, my airbrush cleaner. So as I go, before I go through the rest, all I'm doing is dropping some cleaner in here. And the nice thing about it is I can pour it right back in the bottle after. It's not a big deal. So I'll put that back. So let that sit. The next step is dismantling this airbrush, because I have gunked it up. It is solid. So we'll have to be doing some cleaning to this bad boy. So, but first, you want to pick it apart and submerge all the pieces into the cleaner. Ooh, that's sticky. Ugh. Okay, drop that in there. The back, not so much. It's, you know, it doesn't really get paint on it. Just make sure not to lose any parts. Oh, I guess I should clean this brush too while I'm here. Yep, that's one of my big pet peeves, is giving people notice. I appreciate the fact that people, you know, love to support, but at the same time, you gotta respect the scheduling. People have lives, I get it. So if there's one thing that, you know, all of us, Scott, Kyle, myself, Wes, have agreed on, is giving ample notice. So We will release the date tomorrow. Some of you may have figured it out already. The Planes of War website has kind of an indication of when it could be, but not really. So anyway, so I'm gonna peel this. So what's happened is my needle is actually so gunked. I think I actually made this really bad. Oh, that's gross. So can't actually pull it out. I have to push it out, which is probably better so I don't pull that gunk back through my brush. I'm gonna need more paper towel here, but that's all right. So just gotta, you first, obviously, if there's anything, any liquid that's, you can get it off first. Typically the needle I don't put in the cleaning solution. I just dab it in, just dab it, and then just kind of clean off all the residue. Needles are clutch. You don't want to bend them. You don't want to break them. So yeah, then I submerge the top bit just so that the cup will sit in there. Windex soak time. So I'm gonna move this over here and let that sit for a bit. Sorry, I realize I'm moving my head away further from the mic before saying what I'm doing. Womp womp, rookie move. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that stuff over there. I'm gonna put all these pieces off to the side, and then I'm gonna get on with the typhus corrosion. Yeah, some people use Windex and stuff like that. I use an airbrush cleaner. It's it's super cheap and fast acting, odorless, and environmentally safe. Oh, this is typhus corrosion is almost burnt out. Okay, one second. We need more typhus corrosion. Or sorry, not typhus corrosion, rise and rust. Boom, backups. Always have backups. Okay, is this the backup? Which one is it? Nope, this is the burnt out. Well, we'll try and salvage a bit of this before we go on to the next one. All right, so again, getting the foam. Very simple. Just gonna pluck a few bits away. Same reason as before, just to let it give it some imperfections. Get us nice and goopy, and just load it on. The key is, I am loading this on, but you don't press onto your model hard, otherwise it will literally all just transfer and ruin your model. Well, not ruin, but you'll get lots of rust in like one area, and you might as well just spray it orange. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's little black spots, so it's all getting absorbed, which is exactly what you want. And then as you dab, it comes back to the surface. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, college. Oh, I'm getting trolled. Rory, stop. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, okay, so we'll start with these little bits here. No, yeah, sure. So literally, it's a light dab. It'll grab onto certain areas. It will grab onto the rise of rust, the high points from the textured parts. Wow, that dog though, he is not happy right now. He just wants a friend. Poor little guy. Sorry, getting off topic. Okay, focus. So yeah, again, it's gonna be hard to see on this little guy, but I will, I'll take pictures and kind of show you the end results, so you can kind of see how this buildup, it has a purpose. It has a purpose. I'll move on to a barge, sure. So it's literally, typically rust hits edges, so you don't want all your edges, you don't want all the spots you put all the rise of rust on, but you want it to, kind of grab onto parts of it. Rust does come in different colors, so I will at a later time be adding those colors to the models. But for now, just to get it, tabletop quality, I will be just going with the Riser Rust. It's just kind of banging that on everywhere. Oh, I know, Rory. I know. That's okay. I'll cry about it later, but right now I'm in the zone, so please don't even worry. Oh, that dog. That dog, though. Yuri, I might have some. I'll have to take a look. So, unlike the Ryza, or unlike the Typhus Corrosion, the Riser Rust does dry out a lot faster on the sponge, but it's a small price to pay for its wickedness. Just cake it on, just really get into the sponge. But yeah, it's not too bad, like get pretty much one model done per application of the Riser Rust, so I'd say it's worth it. So just fold these down. Fold these ones down. So yeah, and don't worry about where the object source lighting is gonna go. Like it's totally not a big deal if you cover up some of the bulbs and stuff that you plan on lighting up. Because at the end of the day, once the airbrush hits it, it kind of covers this stuff, so it's not that big of a deal. Like I said, these are got these secondhand, got them in a sweet trade. Sadly, traded away some chaos, but hey, you know what? Went to a good home, and I picked up some more crons. But yeah, they're already built, so obviously I don't particularly build them before painting, but gotta make do. Saved a few bucks, so sacrifices must be made. Let's pull these back up. Make sure we haven't missed any big spots. You definitely want a whole rusty model and then one or two spots that just looks like pristine. It's just kind of like, if anything, that stands out more than having too much rust on spots, which I've also been told there's too much rust on my rusty models. I don't know how that works, but whatever. Hate is gonna hate. Boom. So that's really it. This one's actually a lot less rusty than my last one, but that's okay. See, so here's again is one that's kind of complete. So this is what I'm going to be kind of shooting for. I'm not doing the guys in the inside because they are actually fast attack barges, so they actually won't have the guys sitting in it. I'm going to magnetize the guys so then I can take them out. But yeah, so this is what's kind of look like. It's simple, I think really effective. My last video I said that the Mechanica Standard Gray airbrush from spray from GW is identical to the Vallejo Air gray black, but it's actually not. It's a little lighter when it actually finishes drying. So these models will look a little different, but you know what? That's cool. It's not the end of the world. Sorry, Shane, I missed your comment there. Typical airbrush. A good airbrush will cost, you know, a decent starting off airbrush, I would say, would cost around 100 to 150. I know that's a little, you know, some people may think that it's a little cheap on the cheap end. But an airbrush, I really feel you can't cheap out on, because you know, all you're going to do it with a cheaper airbrush, it's going to take you more time to get going. It's going to probably gunk up more. It won't do the job you want it to, and it will either deter you from continuing, or will cause you a lot of grief, and you'll end up going to spend another $200 anyway. So I would say 150 to 200 would probably be a good starting point for an airbrush. A compressor. Mine here is mine is 50 set at 57 psi. This thing can go up to 300 psi. I got it for that. I got for, I want to say about another. It was regular like 300, but it was on sale on Amazon for like another 150, I think. So. Total, my airbrush setup was, you know, $300 plus the few add-ons. Like I have my little airbrush cleaner holder, you know, the airbrush cleaning solution and those kind of things, plus my you know, the PSI gauge and stuff. But I mean, so I would say total, you know, maybe $350. Yeah, obviously you don't like hearing 350. You don't want to drop $350 at one time. But again, like the amount of time, you know, headaches, even paint it can save you. I would consider it invaluable. You know, I think I see Sid just joined. He's another guy that does a lot of airbrushing, and his stuff looks unreal. And I can only imagine how much time it would take if you didn't use an airbrush. Not to mention the brush strokes, especially when basing. Even if you wanted to use a brush for everything except basing your models with their main color, it still saves you so much time. It's a nice, clean, thin coat. You don't lose any detail. Airbrushing is, I can't say enough about it. It's incredible. So I'm just gonna get back to it here. Ooh, this one's kind of done. We're gonna, boom. Clean this off. Gonna need to step away for a second. I don't have any paper towel here with me. Potatoed pretty good there. Oh, nothing like a fresh Riser Rust. Got the new Riser Rust smell. Hey, no problem, Shane. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to, you know, post on the pages or PM that Plains Aurora group. I know a few guys have just gotten airbrushes. I've had mine for a few years now, so it's so I can't remember really where I got all my stuff, or you know what's new and what's really good. But a few of the other guys have definitely been doing it as of late, and I'm sure they can get you in touch, or at least show you where to get good deals and, you know, good quality product. Typically, airbrush wise, Badger, Iwata are usually the ones the go-tos. I don't know if anybody else uses anything else. Obviously, feel free to pop it in the chat. But those are my go-tos. I also use a Sotar 2020. That's my fine detail brush. So that's the one that allows me to get pencil thin lines through the airbrush for like really fine detail work or like graffiti type work. I don't use it very often. I actually really hate it, but it's so good. So I kind of just keep it in the event that I really want to go nuts. Not very often though, but it's definitely there in the event I want to. But yeah, Badger and Iwata tend to be the go-to brushes. So anybody, I know a few guys have been watching them talk about this Cadia book or Fall of Cadia or something. So what's the deal? Like, what's the big rage about it? Anybody got an inside scoop? Excuse me. Bum, bum, bum. Advancing the timeline. Oh no. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? What's the word? Other than bird. Creed's almost dead. Katie is pooched. So is that like hinting at, a faction's gonna be killed off or, discontinued or something and make way for something new, or what's the speculation? What are the rumors saying? Yeah, I'm trying, guys. I'm not a fluff guy. I don't read that stuff, so I like the game. I'm not here for the backstory. So, I tried. Anyway, moving on to more exciting things. Bum, bum, bum. So yeah, again, for guys that are in the chat, Reset is on tomorrow night, Tuesday night at 5 o'clock. Feel free to set up a game or come down and try and get a pickup game going. I know there's a few guys that are looking for games, so definitely, I definitely urge people to step out of their comfort zone and actually, no, I challenge people to step out of their comfort zone and try and, grab an opponent you haven't played before once in a while. It's good to meet some new people, play some different armies. It's always a good thing. Right now, actually, I'm dabbing my brush through onto these guys because there's just some spots that you just cannot get with this stippling technique because the sponge is too big. So as I just put some sponge in there, damn it. Sorry. So it's always good to have a brush handy. There's got to be a way you could tune in via voice chat. Yeah, that's actually true, Yuri. Maybe I'll look at doing it in like TeamSpeak or something. That's not a bad idea. I like that. Definitely be a good way to get some conversation going. I find it's more enjoyable to paint and stuff when you're chatting and have some background noise. So even if you're in the chat, you're not really commenting, but at least you can listen to the discussion. It's never a bad thing. Yuri, we should talk about that further. Maybe tomorrow at Reset, we'll look at that for maybe next time I do this. So that would definitely be a good idea. Dun, dun, dun. That's that. These two Stalkers to get with this Rise of Rust on, and then we are going to airbrushing, boys. Very excited. Very excited. Now I know I'm not the best airbrusher by any means, but it works. What I do works for me and this army. Obviously, this is not a time to be working on technique with the airbrush. I fiddle around with it once in a while with spare models kicking around. So I'll definitely get to that at a later date. But for now, I have a method. There's a method to my madness, and I'm going to continue with it until I discover something new that is either more efficient or just the application is better. So I'm just gonna rock it. Scott, I expect your Celestine to be done by the time we're done. I'm done this video, so no pressure. Anybody else? Any newcomers? What have anything you guys have been working on? Feel free to comment with what you're working on. I always like hearing about other people's hobbying. I am a Necron guy, so I definitely like to see and hear about what everyone else is doing. Boom, last two, boys, last two. Very pumped right now. It's been a good night. It's been a very good night. Sadly I'm not going to go through it, like I said, with all the other colors, but that the rust can be, but that's for another night. Yeah, Royce, I saw some of the pictures of those. They're looking pretty slick. You're a bold man to be running those, but I like it. Yuri, yeah, I know we were talking about this earlier. I definitely think the dry brushing buildup would definitely be the best, personally, for those. And even I think it'll just look even sharper once more colors added, obviously, to give it a little more depth. So I'm excited to see how those your ogres look next time I see them. These arms move, so every time I press down with the sponge, the arm moves instead of it actually grabbing paint. Really annoying, but small price to pay. So yeah, like as I mentioned, guys, there's really no wrong way to do this, which is probably my favorite part about this paint scheme. Like I said, if you guys missed, it's airbrush, standard mechanicum gray, then a heavy wash of Necron compound, followed by a stippling or typhus corrosion, and then last but not least a good dab of Rise of Rust using the pluck foam. Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that dab thing. It's pretty funny actually, especially in this context. But so hopefully some of you are sports fans and get the reference. But anyway, so that's that one. Actually, let's add some more of this. What's the deal with typhus? I've never used it. So typhus corrosion essentially is this like mucky brown color, but it also has a granular application. So basically, it's just really nice to give a texture to your models. And when I apply, the Rise of Rust or other dry paints to it, they grab onto that granular substance and just gives models more depth. That's really all it's used for. I keep looking at my computer over to my right and talking into it like that's where the volume's coming from, so I apologize. But yeah, so that's really what Rise of Rust is. It's great for really Nurgle, anything rusty, vehicles. I think Derek, one of the guys that I picked up some from today, he said that he uses it on his. Oh no, that was Marin. Marin said he uses it on the barrels of his guns, so that's kind of cool. Oh, my watch is telling me I stand up. I've been sitting for too long, but that's all right. Gotta power through. So yeah, that's kind of what Typhus Corrosion's for. Like I was saying earlier, if there's one thing that the Games Workshop definitely did well, it's their technical detail paints. So like their dries, their technicals, their airs, their washes, they're just great. Like, I mean, they're a little pricey, but they do such a good job that it's, I feel that the price is justified. It's always my thing. It's as long as the price is justified. Plus, you gotta, I know a lot of people don't use GW for stuff. We can find alternates for a lot of our stuff we need, like our super glues and our X-Acto knives. And you can probably see, like, I have a fat knife sitting here. I've got Gorilla Glue sitting here. I've got a bunch of stuff that's not GW. But there's some things that you can, if there's something to buy at GW that's definitely worth the price tag, it's their technical paints. Absolutely. Even those new paints, those gem paints and stuff like that, I've seen some of those used, and they are pretty freaking cool. Personally, not a fan of them. Like, I don't use them on my armies, or my army, I should say now, singular. But I've seen some people use them, and they look pretty slick. So definitely worth their price tag. Guys, this is the most painting I've done in the last, 7 months. So, thanks for being a part of it. My small movement to getting it back into the hobbying aspect of the game. I love running events and organizing events, but, sometimes you just gotta hunker down and get some good old-fashioned hobbying done, am I right? You already know, man, I can't do it. I don't think I can get into Age of Sigmar. If anything, I may, if someone has a second army kicking around and want to teach me how to play, I'll maybe delve in that way, but I will definitely not be getting an army. Oop, see? That's what happens when you press too hard. You get nice big fat spots of orange, which you don't really want, because if there's that much rust in a spot, usually there's a hole. That's alright. You know what? We're playing with little models, they're make-believe. If it doesn't look exactly how I want, I'm okay with that. Because, at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a Trog Stalker. It just isn't. So, I don't give a shit if it doesn't look right. Alright, so, I think we're good on the color for now. While I am hesitant to airbrush, knowing that I will be going back and adding more color, for the sake of the video, I'm going to do it anyway. And it'll be okay. So I'm just going to clean this brush off. I think I've let this dry, which is not good. Yes, actually, that is correct. I did do the... Oh, shoot. Okay, so I'm just going to grab some more hair towel, and I'll be back to do some airbrushing. Harley, what do you mean, buddy? I know, because I can hear it. All right. Okay, so these bits have been sitting long enough, I think. So what I do typically, this gunky monster needs to be cleaned out. So first, just a good scrape gets most of the gunk out. Always pull the gunk, the paint up. Don't let it jam back into the airbrush. Sorry, just fixing this minor glitch on my end. Just gonna get this sorted and I will be back with you guys. All right. Okay. You already know, I think it was Christian that knew the guy. Holy moly, so this should have definitely sat a lot longer, boys. So, I'm gonna let it go anyway. Gonna work with it, see if we can work with this. So I'm just gonna feed the needle through, make sure it's So the biggest problem with airbrushes obviously is, you know, not cleaning them consistently and frequently is they get clogged. So I typically use Vallejo Air paints. I use some of the new Citadel Airs, but so this is a Citadel Air problem that I've got right now. So I'm gonna work through this and hopefully get this solved so we can get to some airbrushing. So the path is clear, so that's good. Shit. Ooh, that was close. So right now I just got to put this pin back in. Just gonna do that quickly. There's a little bit of a process to an airbrush, but still very much worthwhile. Just gotta bear with me here a little bit while I get this sorted out. The nice thing is, while I putter around with this thing a little bit, it will allow me to allow these pieces of the airbrush to sit in the solvent a little longer, which is never a bad thing. this is really giving me some grief tonight, boys. So something now is in the middle of my airbrush and not allowing me to continue with this. So I just gonna have to grind through this. You're gonna have to bear with me here. I don't know why this is happening of all times right now, but it's gotta be because I'm live. All right, so I think we are now good. Ha, success. Boom, look at that. All right, so first problem solved. So we're gonna leave that. Make sure we didn't destroy our needle in the process, which we might have done. That's okay. No, it's not okay. That is bad. Boys, it's not a good night. It is not a good night for the airbrush. What I need, way to fix your needle is actually run it along a piece of glass if you have handy. I don't, unless I can use the window. So what you're seeing is a very real and very common problem with airbrushing. If you don't take care of your needle, it causes you ample amounts of grief. So what I just did was I just actually went to my window and ran the needle along the window to flatten it out. So that actually worked. So we're gonna continue. Living life on the edge. Okay, so first thing first. This little piece is probably the most important piece of the airbrush. This thing gets clogged in any way, your airbrush is done. So what I typically do to, once I've taken it out, I actually run the needle through it. And typically what happens is if you push the needle against the edges, you will actually push out little bits of paint and residue that have kind of sat and started accumulating in this piece. And what happens is, if that happens, over time, the air and the paint don't mix properly and won't come out of the airbrush smoothly and evenly, which is no bueno. So I know you can't see this, but I promise you there is little bits of red paint oozing out to the top, which is what I want to see, meaning I am getting this airbrush nice and clean for tonight's use. I guess another way is I don't know if you can see that, but there is red all over that tip, which means there's stuff coming out of this brush. Okay, let's get this off. Sorry guys, it's taking a lot longer than I thought. I was hoping I could clog this thing up intentionally and do a quick clean for you, but apparently I have even foiled myself a little bit here. So just bear with me, I'm gonna quickly grind this out so we can get to the airbrushing. So you can see, like, cleaning is a bit of a process at times. So while that can be extremely discouraging, you know, the few minutes you take to do this helps definitely still speed up the painting process. This is also a good way of showing that it is important to clean your airbrush after every application. So this, you're not spending this kind of time, because typically you should only have to clean your airbrush maybe once every, you know, couple weeks if you keep it clean. This piece typically never has any paint on it, so just give it a good wipe. Man, what the... Not seeing any new comments. I don't know what's going on, so I apologize. I'm experiencing some technical difficulties now. But we're going to get to some airbrushing, so I'm going to kind of go through it. Hopefully I can answer the question. So, done with this. I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to need the airbrush medium at some point, so I'll put that over here. Grab the rest of the pieces to this airbrush and reassemble it. Make sure the needle's in the right spot. All right. Next, got to reattach the hose. Turn on the compressor. See, look, even red's still coming out. So I really gooped this thing up good this time. So I don't know how this is gonna go, but I'm gonna give it my best shot here for you guys. So using some of the airbrush cleaner, I'm actually gonna further apply it into here. Dump the first bit out, because there's a little bit of residue. You don't want spraying that residue. Then using the cleaner, just let it all drain through. So what is concerning is how slow it's going through. So, gonna be right back, gentlemen. Gonna need one more thing to try.
Are you done?
No.
You're still on?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So last thing, Q-tips. Q-tips are clutch. So I'm actually going to unscrew this one more time, get the needle out of there, and voila. Should have thought about this sooner, but sometimes there's also other things you can use, but that actually worked very well. So man, now I really want to get this airbrushing going. Jeez, this is crazy. Okay. Get a little bit of backflow going. Clean that out. All right, gentlemen, I think we are good to go. So, first up, we're gonna start just on some of these bits, some of the little stuff, get warmed up, get this thing going, and then work into the bigger models. So, first thing I need is Game Air. Oh boy. Oops, that's what I need. Game Air Dead White. Give it a good shake. So I don't use a lot of it. So the white I don't actually use any airbrush medium on. The air white is usually pretty thin as is. Just give it a little spray. So what I'm doing first is I'm putting white on all the spots I want to illuminate. Just gives it a better base to brighten the colors from. Now you don't have to do this. This is just kind of a little bit of it's a preference of mine. Boom, so that's that. Really trying to get back onto the chat here. They don't know what the heck is going on. Nope, I don't know what's going on. Can't get it, so whatever. I'm gonna keep going. So what I usually find with the white is, the white usually goops up a lot more frequently than I'd like. But I don't know why, but it just does, so just gotta live with it. Also running low on white apparently. Man, just nothing's going right tonight. Nothing is going right. So yeah, sorry. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to mix ivory. So ivory is not an air color, so I will going to actually mix in some of the compound, which is not what I wanted to do tonight, but we're going to do it. So what I'm going to do is change the way I'm going to do this. I was going to do a couple models at a time, but I'm actually going to do all the white first just because I'm going to mix a batch of this stuff. So what I do is I typically add, you know, a few drops of the medium. So I did 4. Let's do a few more. Oh, that was like 8 drops. Ooh, that's a lot. It's okay. So we're making a big batch, so it's not a big deal. Nice thing is you don't need a lot of paint. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drops. I'm going to grab another garbage brush. This one actually doesn't even have any bristles, so that's perfect. That is as garbage as it gets. And just mix it up. Okay, and then pull back on the trigger just so it technically everything comes out, but I'm going to clog it and let a little bit of air come back into the chamber. So it mixes the paint for me. So that should be good. Let's give this a go. Move this out of the way. Give it a quick spray. Perfect. Okay. So The only thing I find is it's usually a little more liquidy, so you just want to be a little further back. It's not a big deal. To roll it is just the white underlay, so all this will be getting covered anyway with a color. So that's that. Another thing with the bigger models already being assembled is that it's a lot trickier to remember all the spots that you want to illuminate. But you know what? It is what it is. So you just gotta kind of roll with it. I can't actually remember if there's a lot of spots on. No, these guys actually don't have a lot. There's just the front, the two searchlight kind of looking things, and that's it. So that's sweet. Makes my life a lot easier, especially when it comes to source lighting. So that's okay. So there's two there. So these bad boys is where it gets tricky. Okay, so here we go. With all the lifted. So again, for those just joining, I am literally just hitting all this. So those of you just joining, I'm just hitting all the spots that are gonna be colored with some white, just to lighten up the area, so that the color pops a little more. Nothing crazy, not a whole lot of worries. I think that's it on these guys. Oh. Worst part about this is missing a spot after you've transitioned to the next color, because I hate going back, but it always happens, so just be ready for it. So that's it, just a little bit of, just, you know, getting a few dabs of white, lighting up the areas you want, color, not really worrying about overspray or anything. It's literally yeah, it's getting actually really tricky with it all being assembled. Definitely wouldn't recommend this, but like I said, secondhand models, they'll get you. Gotta make do. All right. So I think we are good. There's actually not a whole lot of lighting on these things, so that's kind of sweet. Light him up a bit. Light this guy up a bit. And then drain the rest of this. So using the dropper, I try and take out as much of the paint as possible. I don't and just let a little bit of water siphon through the bottom. The way I learned to do this and control the overspraying was practicing on shitty models. There's really no right or wrong way. Yeah, there was really no easy way to control overspraying. It's more learning how to use the airbrush properly. Like basically what controls overspraying is how much of the needle, when you pull back on the trigger, is actually pulled back. So you can control that by loosening the needle and controlling how much of the needle is exposed to begin with, and then locking that in, finding a comfortable spot. And then the second way is obviously really getting used to your trigger. So based on how little, so obviously pushing down a lot feeds lots of pressure through the airbrush. So it's more just a matter of controlling how, you can go little and a lot, and then it's also how much you pull back, because if you just pull back a little bit, very little air and paint comes through. If you pull back all the way, the whole needle now is pulled all the way back, which means you are getting a heavy spray. So it's more like a base coat style spray. So it's just getting used to your brush. It's pretty easy. I would say it's definitely something that definitely not something to discourage. Honestly, the worst thing about an airbrush, I would think, is the cleaning process. But once you get that handled, it's just a matter of practice. I definitely recommend starting with bigger models and working your way down to smaller models. And other things you can do to help mitigate overspray is using stuff like painter's tape, masking tape, taping off areas, using stencils. Stencils help as well for certain things. Yeah, it's just like anything though, it's just practice, I would say, is really all you can do. So getting back to this, so I have a stalker that is green. So my first stalker, is it green? Yeah, it is green. So I'm gonna do a Vallejo Magic Blue stalker next. So I'm gonna start with that. And sadly, I can't carry that into one of the Ghost Arks because my other Ghost Ark is blue, but that's all right. So the nice thing about Vallejos are their game air, they're already airbrush paints, so I don't actually need to apply any medium. You still can to lighten it even more, but I like a little bit of a thicker application, so I just roll with it as is. So first stalker is going to be blue. Its lights are going to be blue. So start with the. So literally all you're doing is covering over the white spots. I don't know, this light is really in there. So it's going from turning white to blue, and then from that blue, you can either do two things. You can either build up a second layer of blue, or you can just touch it with another hit of white to kind of give it that accent sheen kind of look. So. So when I do object source lighting, I hit from the center of the light source, and then I, go in a circular motion and angle it all the way around to allow it to look like the color is pushing outwards onto the areas around it, allowing it to hit edges and whatever. Now, paint still always does get gunked up on your on the nose, the tip of your airbrush. So always take a second, take a look at it, clean it off. And another good tip is never start by shooting at your model. Shoot down at something first and let some paint flow out, and you can see it's flowing properly, and then you apply your model. Sometimes it's gunked and it could spatter, and then it ruins your model. You'd obviously rather it spatter onto some kind of tabletop, or I use a cutting board, but something like that first. See, a little bit of paint drying up, scrape it off. Michael, haven't seen you out lately. What have you been working on? Charles, welcome to the chat. Did I do the same color? Yeah, I did. So I'm just referencing one of my other Stalkers that I've done previously to figure out what colors to do it. I like so on a tabletop, when you say I'm firing from this one, or you're shooting the green one or the blue one, it's a lot easier than trying to say, Stalker 1, Stalker 2, or the one furthest right of you and stuff like that, just to help ease of gameplay. But yeah, so that's kind of why I do them. I particularly like doing them in different colors. I have unfortunately, they're still good. So that is that one. Very simple stuff here, boys. Nothing crazy tonight. Okay. So now we got that out of the way. I'm actually going to use next a Citadel Air color. I think I'm going to do the purple and the yellow. I'm going to give these a go, see how they work. Yeah, I really wish I could get this chat to be visible here. This is... Oh, there we go. Now I can see everyone. Oh, Maddie, what's going on, man? All right. Okay. So, yeah, that's that one. So plug that on. So you can kind of see it just gives it a little color. Obviously got a lot more work to do, but for the sake of tabletop quality, it'll be good. So we're gonna start with, I guess this guy goes with that one. We're gonna start with the yellow. I like the yellow. Actually, I really like the purple. Purple's pretty solid. The Citadel purple is really nice. So we're gonna go with this guy and one of these bad boys. Get these done. Hammer them home. We're in the home stretch here, so give it a good shake. So like I did earlier, unfortunately the air paints for Games Workshop require the medium. They are not as good they're not as kind to the airbrush as the Vallejo, but whatever, it is what it is. And unfortunately, they don't have the nice dropper style bottles, so you require a dropper. So about 5 drops. Squeeze the rest back in here. Clean this out. So again, using a shitty brush, give it a good mix. And then, as always, before hitting your model, still make sure that it's coming out the color you want. Okay. So, if you guys just tuned in, I did muck up my needle point, so it is causing me a little bit of grief here, but for the sake of the video, it is working well enough. Plus, I gotta get going soon. Definitely want to go, gotta go hang out with the wife a little bit. See, there's a first spot I forgot. There was no white there, so it's going to look a little darker, but that's okay. So you can see, like, you know, the yellow isn't too bad. It's, gets the job done. The Games Workshop colors are good. But yeah. Man, this lighting is not ideal, I'm sorry. Oop, no, that's not even any better. Let's see here. So you can kind of see, just very simple, nothing crazy. Get some color on them. Let's get this one. Some of the finer stuff I still go in with a brush and do, so like their keypad and stuff on these guys. But yeah, just nice, simple, a little bit of color. You know, still gotta layer it up a bit more, but they're Necrons, whatever. Like I said, tabletop quality, that's what I go for. So. Oh, typical. Running out of paint right at the end. Hopefully we can bang the rest of this out without having to reapply. Oh yeah, we're good. That'll do. That'll do for now. So yeah, that's how the first coat goes. Yeah, so first I'm just gonna quickly clean this out, and then I'll kind of show you guys what a little bit of color can do to a model. Time we got 9:30. Okay. So again, Games Workshop colors kind of gunked this up a little more than I would like, but the colors are really nice and vibrant, so sacrifices must be made. So yeah, so that's good. So I can leave that for a second. So yeah, literally first coat, just tagging all the spots that I'm gonna want color. Really simple stuff, nothing spectacular, but again, tabletop quality. So this one is good to go. This one is, and his guy are good to go. Last one, home stretch. Sure, my girlfriend is very excited to hear that I'm almost done. So we're gonna mix up some purple, keep it spicy. So again, gonna add the medium, a little bit more. So last time it was like 8 drops of medium to 5 drops of the purple. So I'm going to try maybe 6 drops of the purple. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I got 7 in there. That's cool. Whatever. Get this one. It's garbage. Oh, I probably shouldn't have done as much. Totally forgot that I had a stalker I did as well with the yellow. That's alright. I will say the GW ones are a little lighter, so it's okay that I might need to do a little heavier of a spray, so it's all good. So remember, reset tomorrow night. Open gaming starts at 5:30. Or sorry, 5 o'clock, 5:30, kind of that area. 8 tables again tomorrow night. We'll have 2 waves of gaming if there's a lot of people. Sunday was awesome. We did. There's about 50 people that came through, coming for the garage sale and some gaming, so that was really sweet. So we're definitely going to look at doing that maybe again at a later time. Do another Sunday event versus just the Tuesdays. Because we're starting to realize that, you know, not everyone can make a Tuesday, so... Now I love this purple, but it loves to fight me, so... I forget? No, we're good. We're good. So yeah, again, just yeah. So just again, a little bit of color. Got more to do, so I'm okay with this for now. But you can kind of see just with an airbrush, very simple, very quick, and it goes a long way. Especially, again, can't emphasize tabletop quality. So I appreciate not everyone has a million hours to be painting models. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for tonight. I'm gonna call it quits. It's been already an hour and a half of me doing this. But just to reiterate, tomorrow 5:30 we got open gaming at Reset, starting at 5:30. Games are gonna start. We've also gonna be announcing the Planes of Wars annual GT date. We're also gonna be. I'm going to be playing a game. I'm going to do a little bit of a live feed of the game with Brendan, one of the other local guys. I'm going to be playing an 1850 game. It's my first of the year and my first game since Twin Eagles in October. So pretty excited about that. It's part of my year-long challenge to at least get a game in a month. Going to be playing a standard CAD. Not many people do that now, so I'm going to try that out and see how that goes against them. We're also going to be announcing our 2 RT events, or regional kind of tournaments. There's going to be one that's a singles event with a little bit of a twist, and then there's going to be a doubles event. So I'm going to talk about those 2 dates and releases on tomorrow on the little bit of a live feed from Reset. And yeah, so that is going to be it for the evening. I'm going to wrap this up, clean up a bit. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you guys. We're also going to be posting a poll. A lot of guys were saying that they liked the Sunday event at Reset. So maybe we're going to look at moving some of the second Tuesdays of the month to Sundays to help accommodate and hopefully get a little bit of a different crowd out. I personally really liked not having to go straight from work myself. It's a lot less stressful on me. So hopefully we can do that. I'll move up now that there's no more painting to be done. And yeah, that's it for the evening, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you guys learned a little bit about airbrushing or some stippling effects, dry brushing, stuff like that. I know there's a lot, and I'll keep working on the camera angles and stuff like that for next time. Hopefully, get a way of allowing everyone to chat, either with something like TeamSpeak or Vent or something like that. I'm going to work with a couple of guys on that. And yeah, so I'm going to keep doing this weekly. And again, thanks for tuning in. Have a good evening, and happy hobbying. Take it easy.